What's up, you guys? This is Jason from The Wave, and you're watching the Art of Party podcast. For us, I need y'all to be tired when you get out of my party. I really appreciate people choosing to have a good time. I use pictures from our events to like sell the party because look at the joy on their face, like that. That's what you're paying for.
What's going on, y'all? Jeff Osuji here, CEO of Event War, and you are live with the Art of the Party podcast. Howard Homecoming edition. I had to hit DC for a couple of events. Couldn't stop in the DMV without shouting out and stepping up and talking to my brother, Jason. What's going on, brother?
What's good, brother? We finally got you in DC.
Here, baby.
You know, catch you in Chicago all the time when I go and see my family. Shout out to everybody from Chicago.
Yes, sir.
But it's a HU weekend, so happy to have you.
Mild sauce to mambo sauce. We here.
Mambo sauce all day. You know what time it is. Mild sauce. Shout out to Harold's Chicken.
Yes, sir. We're here, man. Hey, super excited to sit down and talk with Jason about not only the art of the party and what he does in terms of creating dope experiences, but how he's taken his event business to a different level, and also what he's built with the Wave. So, Jason, we're gonna jump right into it, man. Jason Kelley, tell us about who you are, where you're from, how you got started in the event business.
Yeah, man. So, Jason Kelley, originally from Richmond, Virginia. Started throwing parties in college like most of us. You know, I joined the best fraternity in the history of the world. Shout out to Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
We here.
You know, and it just kind of caught the bug very early, right? Then I moved on to Atlanta. I was doing corporate events at CNN while working as a tour guide. So I'm talking to people all day, and then also doing corporate events at night. Started working with a guy named Tiwa who does Atlanta Greek Picnic.
Shout out to
Tiwa. And I did everything. I passed out flyers at the let out. I was in line with the clipboard. I was escorting people to their tables, got a list, got a night, and when I moved back to DC, started producing my own stuff.
Shout out to Atlanta. We were there for Invest Fest. Tiwa is host of Atlanta Greek Picnic, one of the biggest Greek picnic in the country. So shout out to Tiwa.
Yeah, man. So started doing my own events in DC, and really the Wave was an accident. Okay. We were at brunch one day, and we looked like we were having too much fun. So I got a bunch of no invite texts, and I don't like no invite texts. You know, I'm a systems guy. Okay. So I was like, I'm gonna make a group chat for the homies to let them know when we're gonna do something fun. And it was the weekend of
what's a no invite text? If you want me to ask
a no invite text is when people see you on Instagram Live, or at the time it was Snapchat, and you're having too much fun, and like, damn, no invite. Okay. It's trying to guilt you, for not inviting them. Like your life is predicated on inviting them to events.
Yep, happens all the time.
Yeah. So we created that group chat, and it was called The Wave, based on the Kanye Life of Pablo album. People don't really know that. Okay. That was the inspiration. Me and my business partner, he suggested we call it The Wavy People. I was like, let's just call it The Wave. Makes sense. And from there, I went from 13 people to 100 in a week. It was 200 in 2 weeks. It was 2,000 after 2 months in DC. And then we started to expand to other cities.
Gotcha. So organic growth. People just kind of heard about it. And it was initially meant to be a group me or a group, so folks just know where the moves are, right?
Yep, that's all. We wanted to keep it, because I've been a part of some social groups, some digital communities in Atlanta. Shout out to ATL Social Circle. I don't even know if it still exists, but it had a lot of rules. It was like, well, if you don't talk, you get kicked out. And, I found it to be more useful and to just invite people into the space. And if you can contribute value, that's cool. If you just want to watch from a distance, that's cool. And I would find that people would occasionally come out, even the quiet people. So it wasn't really about finding ways to weed people out of the space. It was about being as inclusive as possible.
Wonderful.
Keep the DM, keep the shots in the DMs. People love to talk at the loudest lunch tables. So it's like, all right, how do we keep this clean and put some systems in? And it worked out really well.
I love it. And so you started in DC, and what I love about what you built is very basically based upon the need for people to build community and come together, right? And you saw the need, you fulfilled it, right? You started with a GroupMe that started in DC, but what I love about it is that you essentially had a national network for different markets. And so how did the Wave Group go national? What made you decide to take it to another city?
Yeah, so when we first got that win in DC and we saw that organic traction, the natural reaction was like, well, how do we scale this, right? So we thought we would do it geographically. So we tried Baltimore, Richmond, being from there, thought it would work that way, and it just didn't catch. Okay. We had a really hard time like just growing that organic community. So kind of let that chill for a bit. Then we had a member from DC move to Chicago. And she was like, Jason, I think they could really use this here. And it went from inception, creation to 500 people in the first 5 minutes. That was the group me cap at the time. And every time we raised the cap, Chicago would just max out. So on the same day we created Chicago and saw that growth, I was currently in Atlanta at the time, just at brunch. And I was like, well, let's just do a couple other cities. So I tried Atlanta and Houston that same day. And Atlanta had a big growth as well, being that I lived there for years. And Houston had really great growth as well. So it's like, okay, well, let's change the strategy from geographical to focusing on these major markets. Because if we can get a foothold and build community there, then, we'll have a great chance at having some longevity.
Makes a lot of sense. I want to understand, what are some of the learnings that you got going from market to market? Because as a marketer in general, it's hard to, once you have a local thing brewing, to take that thing national, right? So what are some of the factors that play a role in how quickly a wave took off?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's the need for community and just knowing what your niche is. The reality is, like, we're the best at transplants. The way that people, what's the user journey, right? Someone comes to a new city, they're kind of lost in the city, they're looking for a barber, a hairdresser, a doctor. They run into a Black person, they're gonna say, like, well, are you in the wave? Right? So they get introduced to the wave in that way, and then they find all sorts of use cases for it, right? They find their community, they find their tribe, they find their subgroups within the wave. Like if you're just a gamer, or if you have your own interests, social sports. And we found that that's very useful everywhere. People have the same problems, man. They're looking for friends, good food, and an opportunity to find some reliable resources.
100%, man. I think that I know for a fact, actually, one of the reasons Chicago took off is because we have so many transplants, and because the cities, so either downtown or in South Loop, and you can literally just be in your community and not know what else is going on. I have so many friends that travel to the city, and again, that's part of the reason why we started Event Wars, because people are looking for a move, they're looking for what to do, and they need a home away from home. So kudos to you for providing that. So I just remember checking one day, and it was just group me as an event promoter and curator. I always look for, okay, where are the people at? And I just remember checking one day, and it was these wave groups. I'm like, wow, this community's hundreds, sometimes thousands of folks in these groups looking for the moves. And I can just see all the folks that were interacting, engaging, learning from each other, connecting, and making best friends. So anytime I see them, I'm like, okay, whoever had this idea knew what they were doing. And so I want to commend you for that, because a lot of time when folks build solutions, they don't know how it's going to impact other people's lives. And so you had folks that have probably been getting jobs, that have traveled to new cities that felt alone, and they'll build a family, right?
Married. Like, one of my favorite stories, I have a homie who lives in Dallas. I met him in Colorado on one of our ski trips. He started traveling with us to some of our different events.
So when you get rich friends, they just be on ski trips.
Come on now, ski trips. Black ski trips, you guys. We're coming back next year with you. He drove from Dallas to party with us at a bar called in Atlanta.
Okay.
He met a woman in Atlanta and was like, hey, guys, I'm checking out early. We're going to catch Game of Thrones and get some dinner with the girl I met. Man, they have a ranch in Texas now. They're married. She's a lawyer. He's a retired Marine. Like, found love in the wave on the road.
I love it. I love it. You never know who's going to connect at one of your experiences, one of your events. So wonderful. So the wave has been around for a number of years now. A lot of friends have met through us. You've been in how many markets now?
40 markets.
40 markets. Wow. Yeah. Now, how has the wave evolved since you started, and what is a long-term vision for it?
Yeah, man. So my background is in media. So I kind of had an understanding of what we were doing, even from the start. At 400 people, I knew that we would have an event production company. I knew that we would do international travel. I knew that we would continue to develop this network community, just because we were solving a very fundamental problem in the Black community, which is community. Just connecting with community, sharing resources. You're in the investment space, so you understand like what group economics can look like if you do it the right way. So from that initial growth, we knew that we would solve a certain set of problems. Going forward, it hasn't really changed. It's still about building community, but our portfolio is a bit more dynamic. Initially we just did events, but when you have something like the pandemic, it forces you to strategize differently. So that really pushed us more into the startup space and understanding like how are we going to build this product, because we don't own GroupMe, and it's not a reliable strategy to just invest in other people's platforms. I'm a passionate person about investing in your own systems. So for us, that's where we are. And we also we have an agency, so we do some consulting work. What we found is that when we do really well with our events, brands seek us out to produce in different ways. They may not want an entire event. They may just want, our ideas. They may want our connection. They may just want marketing. And my logic has always been, if you are down to serve the Black community, I have no problem with like putting your marketing in front of our people. I think of it as equitable marketing. So for us, that's the future, man. Building product is a long-term, goal for us. I'm not in a rush to do it because I've seen too many rush through things and take investment and, kind of fumble the bag, So we have this runway that's a little bit different because we have been able to produce these large events.
Wonderful. And I lead a Black tech cohort in Chicago at 1871. And one of the things we talk about is that if you're able to produce revenue, you don't have to take on investment. You can have your vision going until, there's a need for that. So one of the best ways to build a successful business that's investable is to make some money. So,
yeah, the money follows the money. It's kind of a crazy thing when you realize it because you study the VC world. You're like, well, how do I get them to invest in me? The best way is to show that you're like a reliable asset, for their fund. So for us, that's been cool. In the event space, we've had a lot of success in working with Black owned and producing for Black and brown audiences. But we're moving more into some of these other spaces, conferences, concerts. I'm really about big impact. My father was a teacher, so I've always thought about this as like, how do you serve and serve community and do it in a way that's impactful? Like, I don't know about you who influenced you growing up, but I remember it was those musicians and those entrepreneurs. I was looking outside like, all right, I want to be like them. Like, I love my teachers, but they're the ones that influenced me. So how can we make impact and service work cool? Well, it's like throwing parties and creating spaces.
100%. What I love about the Wave also is that, similar to Event Noir, you build a system that empower event planners. I know a lot of promoters that didn't really have as much of a large of a list, right? Didn't have a large of a database, social media following, or even in some cases influence, and they were able to leverage GroupMe's to be able to grow their business and build that influence. And so kudos to you because you helped empower a lot of folks, help them be able to grow and scale their event business throughout the country. I wanted to ask you, what are the ingredients for an amazing event?
Man, so I do think of events like food and wine pairings, right? Okay. Like if the people are the food, the DJs like the wine pairing. Okay. It's different for different vibes. Okay. Everybody doesn't serve everything. Somebody might be Hennessy. Yeah. I think the things that are essential to a great experience, you got to have people who choose to have a good time. Yep. I've been to some cities, and DC might be one of them cities sometimes, where people can be a little too cool. I love going to Dallas because everybody wants to dance in Dallas. I don't know what it is about Dallas versus other places, but they really get into it. So
man, I miss people dancing. You go ahead though.
Yeah, I really appreciate people choosing to have a good time. Like at my R&B party, I use pictures from our events to sell the party because I'm like, look at the joy on their face, like that. Yeah. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for that experience. You got to have DJs that are one disciplined, but also a bit cavalier, right? So disciplined in the sense that you're giving the people what they expected, right? If you came to an Afrobeats party and I'm giving you trap music, and I could be the best trap music DJ in the world, you're not getting what you paid for. Right. And I have a problem with that. So when DJs don't follow the playbook, you can improvise, play R&B at the R&B party. It's okay. You can commit to the R&B.
But I like how we mix it in an Afrobeat now to the events, man. I like how we get a little more shine now.
Bro, that's the future. Yeah. Look, I think the number is there are going to be 750 million people around the age of 25 in 10 years in the continent. So if we're making anything for here, we need to be making it for there. And if music is the export, do what you got to do. But I know some of the biggest numbers at Capital One Arena this year was Burna Boy.
Yeah, oh man, he's killing it.
So that's the future. It's not lost on me.
Yeah, shout out to everybody going back home in December, man. Ghana or Nigeria, it's gonna be amazing. But no, it's the future. It's the present and the future. I love it. Burna Boy's killing it, and he puts on an amazing show, which is important.
That's so important, man. And that's the other part, right? You want to have people that are excited to be a part of the party. You have a DJ that is disciplined about it, but event producers that care. Exactly. Right. Like one of the reasons why we've been successful with traveling with our events is because we put so much care. If you go to some of these other places in America, people are going to the same parties that their aunts and uncles went to. Like if Uncle Revis is still throwing the party at the bingo hall, you're not getting anything new, you guys. You're gonna be stagnant, and that's where you have the crazy letouts, parking lot issues. For us, I need y'all to be tired when you get out of my party. Yeah. You were ready to make a choice and go home. Yeah.
Man, you bring up such a great point, man. What's the key to, especially for our community, hosting a safe event?
Yeah, and again, it's the want to have a safe event. I can remember growing up in my city, man, we had a problem with like shootings at the club let out. And I can remember people being so ready to fight. Oh, you stepped on my shoe. You know, whatever Chris Rock said, you smudged my Puma. You know what I mean? You gotta wanna have a good time. And honestly, I think being focused on serving Black women has served me really well. Okay. Right? Because when you focus on women, you change the energy from being a very bravado-centric, you know, hyper-masculine space to being like, how do we make sure the women are happy so they feel safe? Because inherently, we're probably going to be safe, you know, because we're worried about them being safe.
We just had an incident back home in Chicago. For anybody who's going outside, if you don't want to have a good time, stay home. If you want to have a great time, if you want to dance, if you want to meet women, come outside. But I'm just not understanding the violence that's happening at these events. It's always been something that we've had to deal with. Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Catering to the women, implementing dress codes. A lot of people try to say it's not good. There's a lot of back and forth about whether dress codes are discriminatory. What's your take on having dress codes in events?
I mean, I'm the sweatpants CEO. You know what I mean? I'm constantly in cozy clothes or something that I made. But I don't have a big feeling about dress code. I think you kind of touched on that point, though. In some places, they do have more issues of violence, and it is a way to kind of tease out the room and really screen to get people into the right state of mind. You know what I mean? Like whatever Coach Prime said about looking good, feeling good, feel good, play good, pay good.
I'm a big advocate of dress code, man.
Yeah,
man. Cut you off.
No, you're good. And but I completely get it. Yeah. And I do think there's different types of experiences for people should have the option, right? Like you should have a high level dress code experience. We're in DC, so Park would be my example. Yeah. Mark has been doing great work for a million years. I grew up in his clubs, and he's always had a dress code, and he's always had a hard line on his dress code. I gotta ask for favors when I pull up, you know, if I came from somewhere else. So I completely get it, but I do delight in the fact that we do create events where people can come and feel, you know, cozy and still know that they're gonna be safe. Yeah. Like in our 7 years of doing events, we've had less than 5 fights. I really want to say less than 3, and I can only think of one, and that was at our R&B party because my homie was trying to get up on stage. He got to a fight with security, you know. But other than that, we've been pretty lucky. Look, man, he just wanted to get up on stage and body roll, man. You know, he's just all he wanted to do.
I think that the most important thing is that when you're hosting an event, another thing, and you can use Event Noir for registration like Jason does for his events.
Absolutely.
You know who's coming into your event when you have people registered, right? Yeah. So you have their name, you have their address, you have their information. So you can hold people accountable if they choose to act up, right? And so we're big on that at either my lounge Hugh. We're scanning IDs, right? So at the very least, we know that we have your information, we know who you are. That's a level of accountability. Then dressing up, you know, making sure that there's a certain dress code that you adhere to. Like you said, you look good, you feel good. If you come outside in sweatpants, it's more likely that you're going to be able to get a little more physical as opposed to if you had some tight pants.
So you're in the physical clothes.
Just want folks to have a good time, right?
Athleisure.
I thought about doing collar shirts only.
Yeah.
And the reality is, it's not that we want people to be uncomfortable. We want people to feel like they're looking amazing, they're glowing, and they can attract what you look like, in my opinion.
Yeah. So. Yeah. No, I completely get it, brother. No, I think so. And there's a lot of spaces that we have here in DC that function like that. You have the Gathering Spot, you have HQ House. Shout out to those communities as well.
What's next for the Wave?
Yeah, man, we're in a great spot right now. We just worked on some conferences. We just did some events for CBC working in production from the agency side. So we've been doing a lot of consulting work, working with some existing Black institutions. It's more important that we use our skills to try to increase the quality of experiences across the board rather than just trying to produce everything. You only have so many hours in a day. You only have so many people in your audience. And I can't keep tapping y'all pockets every week for the same $20, right? Like if we can help these conferences get a little bit better on their experiential, we can help these local organizations that build for business or build for industry. If we can help their experiences get better, everything becomes a more enjoyable experience. So we've been working in that space. Concerts are coming. You know, it's just a thing that's been on my spirit. It's a natural progression. So we're working on that and producing our own conferences because we do see some gaps in the space where we want to be able to support Black founders, support Black stories, support Black creatives, and really give them a space so that they can upskill and get better.
Wonderful, man. I've been wanting to do this interview for a while. Jason's not only hosts those events all over the country, but he's been one of the early supporters of Event Noir. So I got to ask you, man, there's a number of ticketing platforms out there.
Yeah.
What made you support Event Noir early on?
Yeah, man. So it's funny that you mentioned like the dress code piece, right? I think of Event Noir as being a part of like my screening process. When we put things on Eventbrite, I've noticed that I get a completely different quality of clientele that comes to my events. And I don't necessarily need them. You can stay home. And then it's the choice of working with Black owned. Like, I don't need to recreate every aspect of the event vertical chain in order to feel like I'm a successful event producer. So when I first met you and you presented the opportunity to work with a Black-owned ticketing platform, it wasn't very hard to make the choice. Like many things in the Black community, it's mostly about us choosing to work together. If doesn't necessarily always mean it's going to be better. There's going to be growing pains, but it's no different than a Black-owned restaurant. You know, we don't give as much grace. You know, like if we go to the restaurant and they're out of steak that one time, and they don't never have steak.
Coming back.
They don't never have steak. So it's like, but we have to make that choice to continue to invest in ourselves. So I knew from the jump it would be here for the long haul. As long as you're here, I'm here. And now we're at a point where Eventbrite's changing up their business model to where everyone's going to have to pay even for their free events. You know, have you seen that?
I did see that, man. They're charging monthly now. I think even if it's free or pay. I think.
Yeah, like after a certain amount, like I think it's like 50 people in a free event. After more than that, you have to pay. So
and love to Eventbrite. We love everybody.
Love everybody, but
they've done a great job of building a great network. But I think there are some advantages to working with Event Noir that we definitely have, which is free for everybody. If you have a free event, we're not going to charge you. We're not going to charge you a monthly fee. And if you have paid events, you can make more money from your events as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've appreciated the transparency that you've had about Event Noir and the support that you've given us over the years as well. So it really is a partnership, and I'm pleased to be a champion for it. I'm happy to know that other people are using Event Noir because they saw Wave events on Event Noir. And even back in the day, you were one of the first ones that allowed for people to embed their ticketing into in their own native website, which for me was huge because I want to show more of the video and do different tech, based things as far as like our event presentation. So you guys have been great partners, more than happy, and you guys make sure you use.
I got to say thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man, because we're here and curating events is really a thankless service, and I just want to thank you because you've been extremely pivotal and instrumental in helping us build a brand across the country. So shout out to everybody that's using Event Noir, that's used us or consider using us. Much love to you, Jason. I got to give you your flowers. You know what I'm saying. I think that you've been able to build an amazing national brand. I'm super excited for what you're going to continue to build. I got just last questions that we ask everybody. Number one, what's your favorite event / experience that you ever had?
Yeah. I've had so many amazing events and experiences. The one that comes to mind kind of combines two. So we did a Black Panther pop-up bar in DC, whatever year it was when the first one came out. We did like 5,000 people in 5 days at this small Black-owned place that probably fits 200 people at a time. Did installations, got international coverage. That was dope. But we also did our Black bar crawl. And shout out to Kwanzaa Crawl, because that was like the inspiration for us even doing this. I think it's important to tell people where your references are. And we did our Black bar crawl. This might have been the biggest Black bar crawl ever. It had about 2,500 people, all in DC.
Might step on some toes there, but
no, we're good.
Y'all went crazy. Y'all been going crazy. If y'all mentioned the bar crawl, make sure y'all check them out.
It was dope, man. And we used about 8 Black-owned venues. And at the beginning, we met at this just like common area in downtown DC, right by Howard Theater. And I get word that Method Man is in the building. I'm like, what is Method Man doing? We didn't pay him for this. Apparently someone had told him that we were over there about to do this giant bar crawl. He came out, he spoke to the crowd. We went out, we had an amazing day. We raised a ton of money for those Black-owned businesses because that impact work is a big part of the why, right? Like, yeah, we want to have a party and have a great time, but who's going to eat off of this, right? So I get a lot of joy in knowing that just because of our ideas, we put millions of dollars into the market for people to eat and survive.
And I saw the work you're doing. We were definitely influenced to do our Black Bar Crawl in Chicago based upon the work you were doing. And so I've seen you taking around to different markets, and just want to salute you because you're recycling so many dollars back into Black businesses. So.
Man, like the ripple effect is dope. And this is the thing about community, right? Like access to information changes your actions. Like I saw them do it, so I think I can do it. I think this will make sense here. And I love seeing people do that because that just raises the quality of life for Black people everywhere. Yeah. And I think that's something that we can't take for granted. Like we're doing the work and we are changing lives, and it's dope to see.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, Jason, man, we're here in D.C. I want to hold you up too much longer. I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Excited to see what you can continue to do with the Wave, and thank you for building that platform. So this is the Art of the Party. Checking out Jeff Osuji, my boy Jason Kelley. It's how we're homecoming, so we don't get to kicking it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
All right, y'all.
As an event curator, folks would call me whenever they traveled to New York, to Chicago, to DC, to find events that were culturally relevant, where they could really let their hair down, rock some J's, have a good time. And so what I realized is that there were amazing platforms like Yelp, Splashdot, Eventbrite, but people were coming to me for a reason. And the reality is that people of color really rely on warm referrals to navigate their nightlife. And I realized there needed to be a digital platform that connected lovers of culture to diverse events throughout the world. My name is Jeff Osuji. I'm the co-founder and CEO of EventWire, where culture and events intersect. EventWire is a two-sided marketplace where event lovers can find culturally diverse events, and event organizers can monetize their events seamlessly by selling tickets. The beauty of EventWire is not only are event organizers able to make money from their ticket revenue, but they're also able to benefit from a percentage of service fees, which we share with them as incentives. EventWire has over 250,000 event lovers who registered for events on our platform in over 21 markets and 4 different continents. We've also partnered with over 3,000 event organizers throughout the country. Super excited about EventWire Premium, which is a service that EventWire offers to help event organizers connect with brand partnerships. We all know that it's hard to bring in revenue as an event organizer, and that brand partnerships can take your business through the roof. The way EventWire Premium works is that we offer a service that connects you to individual marketers, brands, as well as brand assistants that are spending money on events every single day. We also help you understand how to pitch to brands and connects you with a contact list of brands you can go after to pursue these partnerships. So EventWire isn't just a ticketing platform, we're a ticketing partner. Our service fees are generally cheaper than the larger ticketing platforms, but we also are able to help incentivize our event organizers and partners by sharing a percentage of service fees with them. When it comes to the team of EventWire, we have a combined 60 years of experience producing events. We are entrepreneurs who understand the pain points of event organizers throughout the globe. We host events of all types, from festivals to day parties to even conferences. When you host your event on EventWire, you're able to connect with consumers that are looking to tap directly into the culture and looking for events just like yours. And we use Stripe as our payment processor, so we actually pay out faster than the other event marketing platforms. In addition to that, you're able to leverage our newsletters to reach over 250,000 people, as well as our social media. And so you're able to take your local event and help scale it on a national level. EventWire is an award-winning platform that's been featured in Forbes, Afrotech, and The Breakfast Club. We're also backed by Google, and we've been able to partner with event organizers like Hyde Park Summerfest and Chance the Rapper's nonprofit. Coming out of the pandemic, the entertainment industry is on fire. We are seeing record high ticket sales as it relates to concerts, parties, and events. We want to partner with you to take your event business to the next level. So host your event on EventWire, where culture and events intersect.